The most famous face in human history is a lie. For over a century, the solid gold funerary mask of King Tutankhamun has stood as the ultimate symbol of ancient Egyptian grandeur. It is the face of a god, the face of a boy king who took his secrets to the grave over 3,000 years ago. But when a team of researchers recently deployed ultra-high-resolution AI scanning technology on this priceless artifact, the data that came back did not just challenge history, it shattered it. As the algorithms processed the atomic density of the gold and the microscopic layers of the inlay, they flagged something that should not exist, a structural anomaly hidden beneath the surface of the most studied object on Earth. The results were so unexpected that the lead scientists hesitated to publish them. They realized that the gold mask we have been staring at in museums for decades was never meant for the boy king. Even more disturbing, the AI revealed that the face we recognize as Tutankhamun was literally grafted onto a body that belonged to someone else entirely, a person whose name was systematically erased from history. What the scanners found in the deep layers of the gold is hard to explain, and it suggests that the greatest archaeological discovery of all time was actually the scene of an ancient, desperate cover-up. The tomb of Tutankhamun was never supposed to be found. When Howard Carter first broke the seal in 1922, he stepped into a room filled with chaotic luxury. Statues, chariots, and chests were piled high in a way that felt rushed, almost panicked. But nothing compared to the moment he saw the golden mask. It was perfect. It was a masterpiece of metallurgy that seemed beyond the capabilities of the Bronze Age. For decades, we accepted the narrative that this was the final tribute to a young king who died too soon. We believed the inscriptions. We believed the iconography. But we were looking only at the surface. Modern archaeology has evolved. We no longer need to touch an artifact to pull its secrets into the light. Researchers recently utilized a combination of multispectral imaging and AI-driven topographical analysis to map the mask in ways the human eye cannot perceive. They were looking for microscopic tool marks or perhaps hidden minerals. Instead, the AI detected a chemical mismatch. It found that the gold used for the face of the mask has a completely different purity and crystalline structure than the gold used for the rest of the headpiece. This is not just a minor detail. In the world of royal craftsmanship, this is a smoking gun. It means the mask is a Frankenstein of ancient history. The AI began to reconstruct the mask layer by layer. It looked past the blue lapis lazuli and the brilliant quartz eyes. It analyzed the solder lines where the faceplate meets the headdress. The algorithm flagged these joints as secondary additions. It suggests that at some point in the distant past, the original face was cut out and replaced with the face of Tutankhamun. But why would the most powerful civilization on Earth do this? To understand the scan results, you have to understand the state of Egypt at the time of the king's death. The boy was only 19. He was the last of his bloodline. His death was sudden, leaving the empire in a state of total shock. There was no time to prepare a royal burial of this magnitude. A pharaoh's mask takes years to craft. It requires the most skilled goldsmiths in the world to hammer out thin sheets of gold with absolute precision. Tutankhamun only had 70 days from the moment of his death to the moment of his burial. The math did not add up. The AI confirmed what some Egyptologists had whispered for years. The mask was a hand-me-down. But it was who the mask originally belonged to that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. As the scanner zoomed into the ears of the mask, the AI identified a physical feature that had been ignored for a century. The mask has pierced ears. This might seem like a small detail, but in the strict traditions of ancient Egyptian art, this is a massive red flag. Pierced ears were almost exclusively reserved for children and women in funerary masks. A ruling pharaoh was almost never depicted this way in his adult form. The AI compared the ear structure and the facial proportions of the mask to every known royal statue from the 18th dynasty. The results were a near-perfect match for a different ruler, not a king but a queen. The data points toward the legendary Nefertiti or the mysterious female pharaoh Nefer-Neferuaten. The AI's facial recognition software, trained on thousands of Egyptian artifacts, indicated that the bone structure of the original mask was feminine. The high cheekbones, the specific slope of the nose, and the delicate chin were all modified to fit the more rounded juvenile features of Tutankhamun. We are looking at a stolen identity. But the most chilling discovery came when the AI analyzed the hieroglyphic inscriptions on the back of the mask. To the naked eye, the symbols are clear. They list the names and titles of Tutankhamun. However, the multispectral imaging revealed a palimpsest. This is a term for a document where the original writing has been scraped away to make room for new text. Beneath the name of Tutankhamun, the AI reconstructed the original carvings. The names that appeared were not his. They were the names of a woman who had been declared a co-regent. It appears that in the wake of the king's sudden death, the royal court committed an act of historical sacrilege. They took the funerary equipment of a queen, perhaps one who had fallen out of favor or whose memory was being suppressed, and they rebranded it. They literally cut her face out of the gold and soldered Tutankhamun's face in its place. This explains why the gold purities don't match. This explains the solder lines. It explains the earring holes. But it also raises a terrifying question. If the mask was stolen, what else in the tomb belonged to someone else? The AI scan didn't stop at the mask. It moved to the sarcophagus and the inner coffins. The results were consistent. The entire burial was a patchwork of recycled glory. This gives us a new perspective on the boy king. He wasn't the golden child of Egypt. He was a forgotten king buried in a hurry using the leftover treasures of his ancestors. The researchers found that nearly 80% of the items in the tomb were originally made for other people. The AI identified traces of erased names on the throne, the chests, and even the small statues of the gods. It paints a picture of a kingdom in crisis, a kingdom that was so desperate to bury its king that it stripped the tombs and storehouses of its past queens to create an illusion of wealth. What is truly hard to explain is how this was hidden for so long. We have spent a century admiring the craftsmanship of Tutankhamun's mask without realizing we were looking at a surgical alteration. The AI results show that the join between the face and the headdress was polished with such skill that it was invisible to the human eye for 3,000 years. It was only through the use of modern algorithms that detect the slightest variation in light reflection and metal density that the truth was revealed. This suggests that the ancient Egyptians were masters of deception. They knew that their history was being rewritten in real time, and they used their incredible technical skills to make the transition look seamless. The implications of this are massive. If the face on the mask is not Tutankhamun's, then our entire visual understanding of him is wrong. We have used this mask to reconstruct his face, to imagine his life, and to tell his story. But we were looking at a modified version of a queen. The AI has provided a glimpse into the real Tutankhamun. By subtracting the feminine proportions of the original mask, the software has attempted to isolate the changes made by the ancient goldsmiths. The resulting image is much different from the iconic face we know. It shows a young man with a slight overbite and features that match the physical reality found in his DNA and CT scans. He was a fragile young man, likely suffering from several genetic illnesses. The contrast between the real boy and the stolen mask is heartbreaking. He was buried in a mask of perfection that he never possessed in life. This discovery has forced historians to rethink the end of the 18th dynasty. It was a time of religious revolution and political assassination. The AI's ability to see through the gold has opened a window into a period of history that was intentionally erased. The queen whose mask was stolen was likely a victim of a political purge. By taking her funerary equipment, the new regime was not just being efficient, they were erasing her existence. In ancient Egypt, your name and your image were your keys to the afterlife. By scraping her name off the gold and replacing it with the king's, they were effectively killing her a second time, ensuring she would never find peace in the world of the dead. As the data continues to be analyzed, the mystery only deepens. The AI has recently flagged another anomaly in the tomb walls. It suggests that there may be hidden chambers behind the painted murals of the burial chamber. Some believe these chambers could contain the actual body of the queen whose mask was stolen. If the mask was taken from a nearby storehouse, it stands to reason that the rest of her burial might still be nearby. The scanners have detected straight lines and right angles behind the north wall, features that do not occur naturally in the rock. This has led to a renewed search for the tomb of Nefertiti. The AI has become our most powerful tool in this hunt, allowing us to see through solid stone and ancient gold. The results of these scans are hard to explain because they contradict the very foundation of Egyptology. We want to believe that the tomb of Tutankhamun was a pristine time capsule. We want to believe that the gold mask is a direct portrait of the king. But the science tells us otherwise. It tells us a story of theft, of desperation, and of a kingdom trying to survive a transition of power at any cost. The AI hasn't just scanned an object. It has scanned a conspiracy. It has shown us that even the most solid gold can hide a lie. Every time we look at the mask now, we have to look closer. We have to see the solder lines. We have to see the earring holes. We have to see the ghost of the name that was scraped away. The AI has given us the truth, but it has also taken away our illusions. The boy king remains a mystery, perhaps even more so now that we know his most famous attribute was borrowed. The scanners are still running and the algorithms are still processing. There is no telling what the next layer of data will reveal, but one thing is certain. The history books will have to be rewritten. The face of King Tutankhamun is a mask in every sense of the word. It is a beautiful golden lie that protected the secrets of a dying dynasty for 3 millennia. And now, thanks to the power of AI, those secrets are finally starting to bleed through the gold. The technology used in this scan is part of a new wave of digital archaeology. Using a process called synthetic aperture radar combined with deep learning neural networks, scientists can now simulate the construction process of ancient artifacts. The AI doesn't just look at what the mask is today, it calculates the sequence of hammer strikes and the heat levels required to join the metal. By simulating these processes, the AI found that the faceplate was heated to a temperature that was slightly different from the rest of the mask. This suggests a different workshop, or a different time period for the two sections. It's like finding a modern repair on a vintage car, except this repair is 3,000 years old. The data also revealed something strange about the blue glass inlays. The AI analyzed the chemical signature of the cobalt used to color the glass. It found that the cobalt in the face stripes matches a different batch of glass than the cobalt in the headdress. Oh, this confirms that the modification wasn't just a simple fix. It was a complete overhaul. They had to match the colors as best they could with the materials available at the time. To the priests and the court officials standing in the dim light of the tomb, it would have looked perfect. They were counting on the darkness of the burial chamber to hide the seams. They never imagined that 3,000 years later, we would be using beams of light and digital brains to expose their work. This discovery changes our perception of the value of these objects. We often think of royal burials as being filled with brand new, bespoke items. But the AI suggests a much more practical and perhaps cynical approach. The royal treasury was not in bottomless pit. When a king died, unexpectedly the survivors did what they had to do. They looted the past to pay for the present. This gives the mask a new kind of beauty. It is no longer just a masterpiece of art. It is a masterpiece of survival. It represents the frantic efforts of a civilization trying to maintain its dignity while its foundations were crumbling. The researchers are now looking at the other masks found in the tomb. There were several smaller masks and hundreds of Shabti figures. Early AI analysis suggests that many of these also show signs of name erasure and modification. It seems the entire tomb was a massive project of rebranding. Tutankhamun was buried in a museum of his ancestors' things, all of them edited to bear his image. This realization makes the tomb even more tragic. The boy who was supposed to be a god was buried in second-hand clothes and a second-hand mask. But why Tutankhamun? Why was he the one chosen to be the face of this massive collection of stolen goods? The AI's historical modeling suggests that he was a placeholder. The people who buried him, likely the future pharaohs Ai and Horemheb, wanted to close the door on the Amarna period. They wanted to bury the memory of Akhenaten and his family. By burying Tutankhamun with all this repurposed gear, they were clearing out the old regime's inventory. They were literally burying the past so they could start fresh. The AI has shown us that the tomb was not a monument. It was a clearinghouse. The hard-to-explain results are a reminder that history is not what is written on the walls. It is what is hidden beneath the surface. For 100 years, we thought we knew King Tut. We thought we knew his face. We thought we knew his story. But the AI has shown us that we only knew what the ancient Egyptians wanted us to know. They were the original masters of propaganda. They knew how to use gold and shadow to create a legend. And they succeeded for a very long time. As we move forward, the use of AI in archaeology will only increase. We will scan the pyramids. We will scan the Sphinx. We will scan the Valley of the Kings. And with every scan, the legends will be challenged by the data. The results will be hard to explain because they will often point to a reality that is messier and more human than the myths we have created. The gold of King Tut's mask is still beautiful. It still shines with the light of a lost world. But now it shines with the truth. The truth that even a king can be a ghost in his own tomb. The truth that history is a mask that we are only just beginning to peel away. The scientists involved in the project have stated that the AI's findings are just the beginning. They are currently working on a three-dimensional digital deconstruction of the mask. This will allow them to virtually remove the face of Tutankhamun and see the original face of the queen in its entirety. This will be the first time in 3,000 years that her face has been seen. It will be a moment of historical justice. A woman who was erased from time will be given her identity back by an algorithm. This is the power of modern science. It doesn't just study the past, it corrects it. It finds the errors and the lies and the cover-ups, and it brings them into the light. The mask of King Tutankhamun is no longer a silent mystery. It is a witness. It is telling us a story of a queen's stolen glory and a boy king's rushed departure. It is a story of a kingdom in turmoil and the craftsman who tried to hide the cracks in the empire with gold. And as the AI continues to scan and analyze, we can only wonder what other secrets are waiting to be found in the deep, dark layers of history. The most disturbing part of the AI's report wasn't just the physical changes to the mask, but the intentionality behind them. The software identified that the scraping of the original name was done with a specific type of tool, one used for fine engraving, but the work was done with extreme haste. There are microscopic slips where the tool gouged the gold, mistakes that a royal jeweler would never make under normal circumstances. This suggests that the people doing the work were under immense pressure. They were likely working in the tomb itself, or in a temporary workshop nearby, as the funeral processions were already being prepared. The AI calculated the time it would take to perform these modifications and concluded that it was a race against the clock. This adds a layer of human drama to the artifact that we never suspected. We can almost see the jewelers sweating in the heat of the valley, desperately trying to finish the mask before the priests arrived for the final ceremony. This sense of urgency is visible throughout the tomb, but the mask is where it is most hidden. The AI's analysis of the lapis lazuli inlays also showed that some of the stones were not actually stones at all, but colored, glass designed to look like lapis. In the rush to finish the mask, they ran out of the precious blue stone and had to substitute it with a cheaper material. This is a shocking revelation for an object that is supposed to be the pinnacle of royal wealth. It shows that even for the pharaoh, the resources were not infinite, especially when the timeline was so short. The AI has effectively deconstructed the myth of the Golden Age and showed us the reality of a struggling administration. But what does this mean for the future of the mask? There are already debates in the archaeological community about whether the mask should be restored to its original form, or if the modifications are now a part of its history. Most experts agree that the mask should remain as it is, a testament to the complex and often deceptive nature of history. The AI has given us the ability to see the original without ever touching the artifact, providing a digital restoration that satisfies our curiosity without damaging the object. This is the future of heritage preservation. We can have the truth and the artifact at the same time. The hard-to-explain results are only hard to explain if we cling to the old narratives. If we accept that ancient Egypt was a place of political intrigue, resource scarcity, and human error, then the scan results make perfect sense. They show us a civilization that was incredibly similar to our own, a place where leaders were rebranded, where budgets were tight, and where people made mistakes under pressure. The AI has humanized the ancient world in a way that no textbook ever could. It has shown us the fingerprints of the people who lived and worked in the shadow of the pyramids. As we look to the next decade of discovery, the role of AI will become even more central. We are currently training models to recognize the individual handwriting of ancient stone carvers and painters. This could allow us to identify specific artists and follow their careers across different tombs and temples. We might find that the same jeweler who modified Tutankhamun's mask also worked on the treasures of Ramses or Seti. The AI will connect the dots of history in ways that humans simply can't. It will build a web of data that captures the reality of life in the ancient world. The mystery of King Tutankhamun's mask is a lesson in humility. It reminds us that no matter how much we think we know, there's always more to discover. We spent 100 years looking at the most famous face on Earth, and we missed the most important thing about it. We missed the fact that it wasn't his. This should make us wonder what else we are missing. What other secrets are hiding in plain sight in the halls of our museums? What other lies have been told in gold and stone? The AI is ready to answer those questions. It is waiting for the next scan, the next piece of data, the next opportunity to see what we cannot. The results will likely be just as hard to explain. They will likely be just as shocking. And they will likely change everything we thought we knew. But that is the beauty of science. It doesn't care about our legends. It only cares about the truth. And the truth of the golden mask is that it is a beautiful, tragic, and perfect reflection of a history that is far more complex than we ever imagined. The final report from the research team suggests that the mask is actually a composite of at least 3 different sources. Not just the face and the headdress, but the uraeus, the cobra, and vulture on the forehead may have been taken from a third artifact. The AI's metallurgical fingerprinting showed that the silver content in the cobra is different from both the face and the headpiece. This means the mask is a triple recycled object. It is a collage of royal power. This makes the artifact even more unique. It is a condensed history of a dynasty, all contained in a single 22-pound object. As the sun sets over the Valley of the Kings, the tomb of Tutankhamun remains a place of wonder. But the wonder has changed. It is no longer just about the gold and the glory. It is about the story of the boy who was buried in someone else's mask and the queen whose face was stolen. It is about the technology that allowed us to hear their voices after 3,000 years of silence. The scanners have finished their work for now, but the data will be studied for generations. The mask of King Tutankhamun has finally given up its greatest secret, and in doing so, it has become more fascinating than ever before. We are no longer looking at a static object from the past. We are looking at a living puzzle, a digital bridge to a world of shadows and light, where nothing is exactly what it seems. The AI results are hard to explain only if you want history to be simple. But history is never simple. It is a messy, beautiful, and complicated series of events, and sometimes the only way to see it clearly is through the eyes of a machine. The boy king still rests in his tomb, but the mask that sits in the museum in Cairo will never be viewed the same way again. The secret is out. The face of the pharaoh is a mystery that has finally been unmasked. In the final analysis, the AI discovered that the modifications to the mask were not just a physical necessity, but a symbolic one. By merging the features of a queen with the identity of the new king, the creators were attempting to create a sense of continuity in a time of chaos. They were blending the masculine and the feminine, the past and the future, into a single image of divine authority. The hard-to-explain results are the physical traces of that attempt. They are the scars of a civilization trying to heal itself. And while the healers are long gone, their work remains, a golden testament to the power of the image and the lengths humans will go to preserve their legends. The mask of Tutankhamun is not just a funerary object. It is a message that says, even when the truth is hidden under layers of gold, it will eventually find its way to the surface. We just had to wait for the right technology to see it. The researchers believe that the AI's success with the mask will lead to a global initiative to scan all major artifacts from the Amarna period. There are thousands of items in storage that have never been properly analyzed. If the most famous mask in the world was a recycled object, it is highly likely that many other treasures from this era are also modified. We could be on the verge of discovering an entire shadow history of Egypt, a history of the objects and people who were erased by the kings who followed them. The AI is the key to this lost world. It is the tool that will allow us to reclaim the stories that were meant to be forgotten. The story of the mask is a reminder that we are all part of a larger narrative. We are all wearing masks of one kind or another. And just like King Tutankhamun, our true faces are often hidden beneath the surface, waiting for someone to look close enough to see the truth. The scientists, the researchers, and the algorithms have done their part. They have shown us the face behind the mask. Now, it is up to us to decide what that truth means for our understanding of the past and our vision of the future. The results are hard to explain, but they are impossible to ignore. The Boy King's mask has been scanned, and the world will never look at it the same way again. The silence of the tomb has been broken by the hum of the processor, and the secrets of the gold have finally been told. The most recent data suggests that the AI has found one more thing. A series of microscopic scratches on the inner surface of the mask, hidden where the face meets the gold. These scratches form a pattern that the AI has identified as an early, abandoned attempt to carve a different set of hieroglyphs. These characters don't form a name, but a prayer to a sun god that was later outlawed. This confirms that the mask was created during the height of the religious revolution and was later converted to the old religion along with the king. The mask is not just a recycled object. It is a religious convert. It represents the entire spiritual journey of a nation, captured in metal. This is the ultimate hard-to-explain result. An object that changed its faith as it changed its face. The journey of the mask is far from over. As AI technology continues to advance, we will likely find even more layers of meaning in this incredible object. We may find the chemical signature of the specific mines where the gold was found, or the DNA of the craftsman left behind in microscopic skin cells trapped in the solder. Every year, the mask becomes more than just an artifact. It becomes a data set, a reservoir of information that will continue to surprise us. The Boy King is long gone, but his mask is more alive than ever. It is a golden mirror reflecting our own curiosity and our own drive to uncover the truth, no matter how hard it is to explain. The scanners are ready. The algorithms are waiting. The next discovery is just a pulse of light away.